Today I'm going to talk about Mickey 17. Mickey Barnes was a simple guy who his friend Timo got him into a bit of trouble. Timo had this grand idea that they could make a lot of money. Unfortunately, they borrowed money from a loan shark who enjoyed taking a chainsaw to people who didn't pay their debts on time. And this loan shark enjoyed taking people apart more than he actually wanted the money. So when the two friends were unable to pay, they figured that the best thing to do would be to get off of Earth. Around that time, there was an expedition to a planet named Niflheim. There was a politician called Kenneth Marshall. He had gotten in with a religious group who pretty much worshipped him. So this was a great opportunity for him. Also, it was an opportunity for Mickey and Timo. Timo had skills piloting aircraft, so he was a shoo-in to get a spot on the expedition. However, Mickey not having as many skills, he was told by Timo to sign up as an expendable. Unfortunately, when he got onto the ship, he was told by an employee that being an expendable meant that he would be the first to go on all of the dangerous missions. Copies would be made of his memories and his consciousness in a brick, and then once he died, he would be reprinted and cloned. The journey to the planet Niflheim took 4.5 years. Along the way, Mickey died 16 times, and he fell in love with a woman named Sasha, who was kind of security and a firefighter as well. So she loved every iteration of Mickey, and she told him that each time he came back, he was slightly different. When they get to the planet, Mickey and a few of the other crew are exploring, and they find a cave. As they're walking around the cave, they're attacked by some little creatures that look kind of like roly-polies. One of the crew members looks up, she hears the noise, and she looks up and she sees that there's one above her, and she freaks out and she starts shooting. Pew, pew, pew. And unfortunately, there was ice in the cave, and the ice came down and crushed her to death. So when they get back to the ship, Marshall is very upset at Mickey because he feels like Mickey should have been the one dying, because that's his job. He's expendable. He should have been the one dying, not an important, valuable crew member. So Marshall makes sure that Mickey's rations are cut in half, and he says that Mickey has to work extra hours, and he will be going out on the planet by himself trying to get some samples of the creatures, which I think they were calling the creatures creepers. So Mickey's out there, he's exploring the planet. The planet has a lot of ice and snow and stuff. And his friend Timo is in the aircraft above him and just flying around. And at one point, Mickey is standing, and he's on a kind of I guess the area where he's at was very thin ice or something, and he crashes through into the cavern below, and he starts thinking, oh wow, I should have died, but he didn't. And he's like, whoa, I was pretty lucky. So he sees that the aircraft came down and it's landing, and he's like, oh great, my friend Timo is coming to rescue me. So Timo comes and peeks his head in and looks down on where Mickey's at, and he looks to the side, and then he picks up the flamethrower, and he says, oh wow, the company will be really happy to see this. I'll bring this back. And then he said, Mickey, no hard feelings, right? they're just going to reprint you, so I'm not going to even bother taking you back. You're probably going to die anyway, and it's not, you get it, right? So Mickey is sweet guy that he is. He's like, yeah, you're right. No sense in you trying to risk your life for me when, this is my fate. So Timo leaves and Mickey's laying there and he's just thinking, oh, well, I hope I die quickly. And then the creepers come and he's like, oh, wow, I hope they eat me quickly. This big giant creeper comes and grabs his foot and starts dragging him into another cavern. And then when he sees that it's full of little creepers, he's like, oh, what a nice mama. She saved me for the babies. But then the baby creepers just kind of crawl all over him and suck on his finger and kind of like play with him and stuff. And then the mama, they drag him out of the cave and out into the snow and kind of leave him and watch as he's walking away. And he kind of feels offended because he's thinking, oh man, am I that nasty smelling? Mickey sees a vehicle going by and he jumps on the back of it. He gets back to the ship. He gets to his room and there's a clone of him there. Number 18, which is the new clone, is a little more aggressive than Mickey that we've come to love, and he grabs a dumbbell and boom, he hits Mickey on the back of his head. So Mickey 17 wakes up and he's in the recycling area, and there's this big hole with fire down at the bottom where they drop all of the waste and scraps and things that they want to get rid of. And Mickey 18 is trying to drag Mickey 17 in there, and they start fighting. Boom, 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 boom. And Mickey 18 kind of pushes 17 down and has his head over the hole, and he asks him, are you afraid? What are you afraid of? And Mickey 17 says, well, I've kind of been remembering, and it's awful to die. It's scary to die, but at least before, when I died, I kind of always knew that I would come back. But now, with this situation, with us being two of us, I know that if I die, I'm just gone and you'll live on. There's no more me. So 18 is about to he said, well, I need to push you down because there's a rule. Cloning is banned on Earth because there was one of the scientists who helped develop it was a psychopath, and he cloned himself a couple of times so that he could go out and commit murders and have an alibi. And when they caught him, they banned it on Earth. However, Marshall was at the hearing, and he made a deal with the people in charge that in space they could use the cloning, but there could only be one iteration of the person at a time, because according to them, only one soul can occupy one body at a time. So they know that if they get caught as a multiple, it's automatic extermination. So 18 is trying to get rid of 17 for self-preservation. But, however, they hear some noise of someone's coming. So they hide, and then it's Timo with another guy, and Timo is selling this guy some drugs, and then the guy leaves, and 18 is pissed off at Timo. He heard about how Timo left 17 on the planet to die. He knows what 17 did to even get them there in the first place. So 18 starts fighting with Timo, and he's holding him. He knocks him down in the hole, but Timo is holding on to the edge for his life, and 18 is about to push him down in, and then Nasha comes in with the head of security. and they see the two of them, and 18 whispers to Timo that and tells him he better go along with it or he's in big trouble. So so 18 tells Nasha that Timo fell down and he was just trying to help him out, and they get Timo out, and then Nasha and 18 are flirting, and it's obvious that they're going to go back to the room and, you know, have some fun times, some adult times. And 17 he's just stewing. He's like, that's my woman. So 17 is following Nasha and 18, but he gets stopped because and told that he's wanted for dinner with Marshall. He goes to the dinner, and of course, since his rations have been cut in half, he's kind of hungry anyway, so he's scarfing down this meat. Like in their cafeteria, the regular people on the ship eat pretty much slop, but this looked like real meat and it looked kind of tasty. So he was shoveling it into his face, and the next thing you know, he starts vomiting. And then the scientists come in, so they inject Mickey. Marshall says, hey, we can print another one, and he's suffering anyway, so let's just put him out of his misery. And Mickey says, no, please don't shoot me. I'm feeling better. And Kai, another security officer who was also at the dinner, she intervened and she said, oh, no, please don't shoot him. So she takes Mickey back to her room and she gives him some tea. And Mickey says, oh, no, I gotta go, because he's thinking about Nasha. And he runs back to his room, and Nasha opens the door. She's happy to see him. And then 18 comes out of the bathroom, and Nasha's like, when am I ever going to get an opportunity like this again? And so she writes 17 on our guy and then 18 on the other one. And Kai comes in and she sees them and she runs out. Nasha follows her and she said, please don't tell anybody. And Kai said, well, I won't tell if you let me have 17 and you can keep 18. And Nasha's pissed. She's like, they're both mine. They're both Mickey. They're both mine. And at that point, 18 saw on the monitor that Marshall was doing a ceremony, some kind of thing with a rock, a giant black rock that they found on the planet, and unveiling it with a bunch of people watching or whatever. So 18 gets all riled up and he grabs the gun and runs out. Well, 18 is about to shoot at Marshall, and a guy sees him and kind of like knocks his hand up, and so the shot goes straight. But then out of the black rock jumps one of those a tiny little critter, like a baby critter, and Marshall's screaming, get him. So all the security officers start shooting at this little baby, and they just kind of obliterate it. Like, they just riddle it with so many bullets, there's nothing left hardly. 18 has got the gun again and he's trying to shoot him, and he nicks the side of Marshall's face and hits the rock, and another one of those jumps out and onto Marshall, and Marshall's freaking out, get it. It jumps down and runs into the crowd. The crowd is scattering everywhere. The scientists are running after it, and Mickey walks up to it, and he starts making the chittering sounds, and he's kind of like imitating what the baby's making, the sounds the babies are making. Well, the scientists come, they grab the baby creeper, put it in a bag, and take it away. And then Marshall arrests Nasha because she's trying to defend 18. 17 is arrested too for being a multiple, and they're all put in jail. Well, they're sitting in jail stewing, and then out of the vents comes Timo, and poor little sweet 17 actually is thinking, oh my goodness, Timo came to rescue us. But we know Timo, Timo came because he got a handwritten letter on his door saying that he needs to film a video of himself killing Mickey 17 using the saw and send it to the loan shark, because the loan shark found out where they were at and he has an operator on the ship. So Timo's like, no hard feelings, but I don't want to die. And if I don't kill you, they'll kill me. He pulls out 17, 18, and Nasha are able to overpower the guard, and they get out of their cages. Nasha grabs the saw and she's about to tear up Timo with it when more security officers come in and stop them. So they're taken to the recycling room, and Marshall is there, and he's like, I can't believe this. We have multiples here. And then, meantime, his weird wife sees the little baby and decides to cut its tail off and make soup out of it. And the baby is chittering and stuff, and it spits at Marshall, and Marshall is upset, and the baby is it sounds like he's laughing at Marshall. So Marshall's pretty pissed off at that. Anyway, he sends the two Mickeys out because in the meantime, because the baby had been crying all night when they had him with the scientists, all of the creepers had come and they had surrounded the ship, and they were just sitting there like they were waiting for something. So Marshall decided that he wanted to, he hooked up explosives to each of the Mickeys, and he said that he wanted to send them out, and the wife told him to make it a game, and the first one back with 100 tails from the creatures would be able to live. So they send the Mickeys out of the ship so that they can get close to the critters, and then Marshall has a detonator. One has 17 and one has 18 on it, where he can blow them up. And they also have nerve gas that they plan on releasing on the critters as well, and pretty much genocide. So back in the recycling room, Marshall's pissed off because the little baby made a fool of him. So he takes the baby, puts it on a hook over the hole that has the fire for recycling, or not recycling, but for getting rid of waste. And it's tied to a rope. And he lets go of the rope, and Sasha's there. She has her hands tied behind her back, but she grabs the rope with her teeth, and she's pretty much holding the poor baby over the hole and keeping it alive by the skin of her teeth. Meanwhile, some of the security people are secretly filming all of this to show the crimes that Marshall is committing on the ship. So the two Mickeys get to where the big giant mama creeper's at, and they have a translator that one of the scientists gave them, because the scientists have recognized that these creatures are intelligent, and that the chittering sounds that they were making were actually a language. So they had developed a prototype of a translator based on the sounds that the baby critter was making overnight. And Mickey 17 used the translator to ask the mama, why did you save me? And the mama said, should I have let you die? We helped you, and now you killed our baby. Because remember, they obliterated one of the critters. And the mama said, yeah, if you don't bring the other baby back, then we're gonna kill every human being. Mama started making a screeching sound, and the two Mickeys were like this, like, ah, like it was hurting their ears, and all of the creepers were making that sound. And then they stopped, and the mama said, we can make your head and your eyes explode. So meanwhile, back in the recycling room, Marshall is looking at the monitor. He sees that the Mickeys are communicating with the creepers, and he's thinking, that should be me. I should be the one out there talking to them. This is a monumental event right here. His idea is to go out to where the big mama is at, and then release the gas and put the tent over so that the humans on the platform would be safe. But before that, he's going to do a speech that can be recorded and show how great and awesome and spectacular he is. Mickey 17 went to a monitor, and he did the pantomime for Bring the Baby. Nasha saw it, and she was like, oh, bring the baby. So around this time, so Marshall's outside, so it's just the wife in there. The security guys take over, and they say, hey, you guys are doing some wrong things here. And then Nasha's able to grab the baby. She runs outside with it. Mickey and Nasha run over to the mama and give her the baby. And when Mickey 18 sees that, he jumps Marshall. They're fighting, and he holds Marshall down, and he's about to press the button, but the button on Marshall's arm that detonates the bomb that's strapped around Mickey 18. However, he hesitates a little bit, and Marshall says, you're scared, aren't you? Why are you scared? You die all the time. And Marshall kind of said, it's always scary to die. And then he presses the button. So this movie is one of those movies that's entertaining, and it's a dark comedy, so you're going to be giggling in spaces, but at the same time it makes you think. And some of the things that I was giggling at the same time, I felt a little like, because it explores the themes of identity, like who is Mickey every time they need it. Like, they not only that they say, oh, you just do the dangerous jobs, they were actively experimenting on him for no reason, just to see what would happen. So there were those themes as well, and also the way the creepers were represented, just because they were different, and they didn't like the way the creepers looked. There was a little prejudice there too, and they were the ones who were the invaders on this planet, actually, if you think about it. So the movie had a lot of themes to explore. I think it had a lot going on, but it was a little over 2 hours. It didn't feel like it was that long. It went very fast, very quickly, and I did enjoy it. I did feel a little like my brain was overloaded by all of the themes and all of the heavy stuff that was hidden under the dark comedy and the entertainment that we were getting. So I did like the movie, though. I did like the movie.